I've studied many philosophers and many cats. The wisdom of cats is infinitely superior. This observation, often attributed to the French historian Hippolyte Taine, captures a certain truth. You know, it's a truth that has quietly unfolded in the fields, docks, and living rooms of America for centuries. The story of the cat in this nation is not one of grandeur or conquest. It's a subtle, yet profound narrative. It's a story of survival, of adaptation, and of a slow, steady journey from the ship's hold to the heart of the American home. Often unseen, but always present. The tale begins, not with a purr, but with a purpose. Cats were not brought to the New World as cherished companions. They were not symbols of domestic bliss. They were tools. They were humble, four-legged pest controllers, enlisted in a desperate war against the rats and mice. The first cats to set paw in the Americas did not arrive with a sense of adventure. They were not explorers. They were cargo. Historians and archaeologists agree that the domestic cat, Felis catus, was not native to the continents of North or South America. Their arrival is tied directly to the arrival of Europeans. These animals were brought aboard the very ships, colonists, explorers. While it's impossible to pinpoint the exact ship or the single first cat, the evidence is clear. They were passengers on vessels sailing from Spain, England, and other European nations during the Age of Discovery, late 15th to early 16th centuries. Every wooden ship was a floating buffet for rats. Rodents would gnaw through ropes. They would spoil food stores. They would spread disease. A cat was the most effective self-maintaining form of pest control available. They were as vital as a compass or a sail. Archaeological digs at early colonial sites such as Jamestown have unearthed feline bones. Those skeletal remains are silent proof of their presence from the start. The Atlantic crossing was a brutal, months-long ordeal for humans and animals alike. For cats aboard, life was a constant struggle for survival. When ships made landfall, the cats disembarked with the settlers. They stepped onto a new continent, a vast wilderness teeming with new sights, sounds, and smells. Life aboard a wooden sailing ship was a world of its own. It was a world of creaking timbers, snapping sails, and the constant rhythmic motion of the sea. It was also a world under constant threat from within. The greatest enemy was often not the storm or the pirate, but the rat. Rats were a plague upon the seas. They devoured food rations, contaminated water supplies, and chewed through critical ropes and hull timbers. In this relentless battle, the ship's cat was the undisputed champion, a furry sentinel patrolling the decks and the darkness below. The role of the ship's cat was codified in maritime tradition. They were often officially listed on the ship's manifest, sometimes as a member of the crew. Their value was understood by every sailor, from the captain to the lowest deckhand. A good mouser was worth its weight in gold. Sailors shared rations and sometimes treated the cat as a mascot, sources of morale and perceived good luck. They were hardy, self-sufficient creatures, perfectly suited to the rigors of life at sea. They required little care. Finding their food in the ship's rodent population, their silent nocturnal hunts ensured the crew could sleep a little easier. These cats were more than just pest controllers. They were companions. In the lonely world of a long sea voyage, the presence of an animal could be a powerful comfort. The legacy of the ship's cat is profound. It was through these countless anonymous felines that cats were distributed across the globe, reaching every port that European ships could find. When a ship docked in a new port in the Americas, some of its feline crew would invariably go ashore. They found new territories rich with prey. They established breeding populations in port cities from Boston to Charleston, beginning the slow integration of cats into the American landscape. Every cat in America today owes its presence on this continent to these tough seafaring ancestors. Once ashore, the cat's role seamlessly transitioned from the ship's deck to the colonial settlement. Early American settlements like Jamestown, Plymouth, were fragile enterprises, constantly on the brink of failure. Their survival depended entirely on their ability to grow, and more importantly, to store food. The granaries, barns, and cellars of these nascent communities were just as vulnerable to rodent infestation as the holds of the ships had been. The cat, already a proven asset, was immediately put to work as a guardian of the harvest. In the agrarian society of colonial America, a cat was a vital part of the farm's ecosystem. Every farm, every mill, and every homestead had its barn cats. these were not pampered pets. They were working animals, expected to earn their keep. They lived a semi-wild existence, finding shelter in the hayloft and sustenance from the mice and rats they hunted. Their presence was a practical necessity, a form of biological insurance against the loss of grain that could mean the difference between a winter of plenty and a winter of starvation. A good mouser was a prized possession, a silent partner in the success of the farm. The perception of cats during this period was overwhelmingly practical. They were viewed through the lens of their utility. In Puritan New England, animals were seen as part of God's creation, but they were there to serve mankind's needs. A farmer might leave out a saucer of milk. A child might befriend a litter of kittens. These small, everyday interactions were the seeds of change. The 19th century marked a period of profound change in America. It changed the nation's relationship with its feline inhabitants. As the country grew more prosperous and urbanized, the survivalist mentality began to soften. For a growing middle class, life was no longer a daily struggle. People had more leisure time, more disposable income, more emotional space. That shift set the stage for the cat's journey from the barn to the parlor. A key factor was the changing home, more comfortable and hygienic. The cat's cleanliness and independence made it an ideal candidate. Unlike dogs, cats didn't need constant attention or outdoor exercise, so they fit urban life. Writers began featuring cats. Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe. Cats were portrayed as mysterious, intelligent, elegant. Victorian values and early humane societies fostered concern for animal welfare. The cat, once a mere tool, now offered companionship, beauty, and refined grace. The newly recognized Maine Coon and other prized breeds became fashionable. Veterinary medicine began to advance. Vaccines and treatments made keeping cats indoors more feasible. Lifespans were extended. The indoor, long-lived cat became a reality for more American families. This Victorian-era transformation laid the groundwork for the cat's modern ascent to one of America's most beloved pets. As cats became more integrated into American life, some inevitably stepped into the spotlight of history. Perhaps no residence offered a more prominent stage than the White House. Abraham Lincoln was famously the first president to bring cats into the executive mansion. Tabby Dixie were reportedly given scraps from the dinner table by the president himself. A hobby? It is a passion. Theodore Roosevelt's family had a six-toed cat named Slippers. Slippers appeared in photographs and wandered state dinners. Calvin Coolidge's White House was home to several cats, including Tiger. One cat even escaped, prompting public appeals. Cats began appearing in headlines and on radio. Perhaps the most famous 20th century presidential cat was Socks, the Clinton family companion, a media sensation featured in books and on the early White House website. A cat named Puffy received a Patsy Award for the 1951 film Rhubarb. Ernest Hemingway was a legendary cat enthusiast. His Key West house remains home to descendants of his six-toed cats. These famous felines helped cement the cat's place in the public consciousness, transforming them into individuals with personalities and stories. Each news report and feature reinforced the idea of the cat as a worthy companion. These notable cats, in halls of power or on screen, humanized their owners and provided charming, relatable stories. They paved the way for the millions of ordinary house cats that would follow. Beloved by presidents, artists, and the public, these feline figures shaped perception and affection. The formal establishment of the cat as a pedigreed pet can be traced directly to the late 19th century. This era saw the birth of the cat fancy, selective breeding, and exhibition. The very first major cat show in the United States was held at Madison Square Garden in New York City in 1895. This event was a turning point. It brought cats out of the alleys and barns and placed them on velvet cushions, each with a distinct breed and standard. This fascination was fueled by burgeoning print media. Magazines and newspapers ran stories about cat shows. Prize-winning Persians, Angoras, and the newly recognized Maine Coon became fixtures of society pages and decorative parlors. Owning a pedigreed cat became fashionable for affluent urban families. Articles created demand, moving cats into status symbol territory. Veterinary advances, vaccines and treatments made indoor keeping and longer lifespans more feasible. By the turn of the 20th century, the idea of the house cat was fully formed, valued not for hunting but for companionship, valued for elegance and its quiet, comforting presence. The combination of the cat fancy, media, and medical advances established the cat as a fixture by the 20th century. The indoor, long-lived cat became a reality for more American families. The 20th century saw the cat's popularity explode across the American landscape. Two major developments were key to this expansion: the invention of commercial cat food and the development of cat litter. In the 1930s and 1940s, canned cat food became widely available, freeing owners from table scraps. This made cat ownership far more convenient. Then, in 1947, Edward Lowe invented clay-based cat litter, which he marketed as kitty litter, a simple invention that was revolutionary. It solved the problem of indoor sanitation, making it easy to keep a cat exclusively inside. The post-World War II boom and the growth of suburbs created millions of new homes, many filled with feline feet. Cats fit urban and suburban rhythms, independent enough to be left during workdays, affectionate in the evenings. Cats became ubiquitous in advertising, cartoons and movies. Morris the Cat, Garfield and more. The arrival of the internet took this to another level. Viral cat videos, memes and dedicated social media accounts created a global community of cat lovers. Today they receive sophisticated veterinary care and gourmet foods, an industry dedicated to their well-being. Shelters and rescue organizations work tirelessly to find homes for cats in need, reflecting societal commitment to their welfare. From their beginnings as working animals on ships and farms, cats have completed a remarkable journey. They have adapted and thrived, finding their niche not just in our ecosystem, but in our hearts. There are tens of millions of pet cats in US homes. They are central to modern family life. The story of the cat in America is a quiet one, often unfolding in the shadows of our own grander narrative. They arrived not as conquerors, but as humble workers, their passage paid by their skill as hunters. They guarded the food that sustained the first colonists and patrolled the barns that fueled a growing nation. Silently, they witnessed the march of American history from porch rails and windowsills. Their history is recorded in bones unearthed at colonial sites and in the fond recollections of presidents. Their evolution from utilitarian creature to beloved companion mirrors the evolution of the nation itself. As America grew from a raw, survivalist society into a prosperous and complex one, so too did our capacity for relationship with these animals change. We began to see in them not just a tool, but traits we value: quiet independence, dignified grace, an ability to offer comfort without demanding anything in return. They moved from our barns to our houses, and ultimately into a central place in our domestic lives. This journey, from the hold of a ship to the foot of a bed, is a testament to adaptability. They are our silent confidants, our gentle alarm clocks, the warm presence on a cold night. They connect us to the natural world and, in their simple needs and affections, to what is best in ourselves. Within the rich fabric of American history, look closely and you'll find a soft, resilient thread: tabby, calico, midnight black, the thread of the cat. They arrived to catch mice and ended up capturing our hearts. They are and will remain an essential, comforting, and cherished part of the American story.